Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Trevor Stockwell here with you today, along with my guest, Maini. Now, Maini's been her own boss for over 23 years. In that time, she's built 13 successful businesses from scratch. Early in 2020, she authored the book Lockdown Took My Income, which is a 9-step blueprint to create your own income stream from scratch. It's also now an international bestseller. Since writing the book, to prove that the blueprint works, she's actually started her latest venture, Copywriters International, which has grown to 30 staff after just 8 months. So she's definitely doing something right, isn't she? She's here to share her insight and experience. She's the queen of content creation. So welcome, Maini Homer.
Thank you so much for having me, Trevor.
It's a pleasure meeting you. Just having this opportunity to delve into how you can be that successful and a serial entrepreneur over many years. You've obviously got a formula that works. And it'll be interesting to hear how you've done that, how you've navigated some of the challenges as well. Maybe for people that haven't met you yet, elaborate a little bit more on your journey, because it hasn't been smooth, to get to where you are, but also to start the first few businesses, has it?
No, it hasn't. I actually come from quite a rough background, very abusive family, and I'm actually estranged from my family still to this day. Those that are left of them, if you know, yeah. So I mean, it hasn't been an easy journey growing up with not learning the skills that I needed to learn to be able to get by and to fit in, even in school. No self-confidence, no self-esteem, not taught about self-worth or self-belief, and believing pretty much that the way to get ahead was to get people before they got me, and that seems to be the message behind my family.
Okay, that is tough. So how did you then get to the point where you wanted to be your own boss? Was that a natural thing, or how did that work?
I think that was just like a bit of a progression, really. I mean, I did the normal things that you're expected to do in society. I finished high school, scraped through, to be honest, because I was one of these people. I went and got a summer job when I was 15, and I had money, and so it was a little bit more exciting than school. But I scraped through, and the idea back then was just to get the good job, just get into the good job. So I actually got a job working for a government department. I became a public servant, which basically means that you're secure up until the rest of your life, pretty much. You could stay there for the rest of your life. And I mean, I started off working in data entry pools, which was extremely catty and extremely awful to work in. Just the environment, it was just so toxic. It was awful. And progressing to different departments, along the way, it's just, I didn't feel like I was being appreciated. I consistently put in the work. I consistently put in the effort when I thought there was a benefit to doing that. I can remember one boss telling me that there was no prizes for heroes, so don't push yourself too hard, So this is the kind of attitude that was in the government. But, I mean, I was always, wanting to do better, wanting to do my best. And it got to the point where I just got tired of not being appreciated for the efforts that I would put in.
Okay. So I'm putting myself in your shoes to some extent, as much as I could. Somebody that grew up without self-esteem or low confidence, no belief in herself, you're in a secure job, and although it's toxic, it still takes courage to then move from that environment to launching out and starting your own business, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it does.
What would you say would be, I don't know, what was the first thing you had to overcome in order to take that first step then?
Well, I think, again, it was just, I'm a big believer in everything happens, in your life for a reason, and it's all part of your journey, you know what I mean? And I think, my first business was a commercial cleaning franchise that I actually bought, the only business I've ever actually paid money to own. Okay, so, which is interesting. And we were actually doing that whilst we kept our jobs. So our days would start at 1 a.m. in the morning. And we would go and do cleaning until, say, 6 a.m. We'd come home, we'd shower, we'd eat, and then we'd go to our day jobs all day. We'd finish around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, get home by 5, eat, shower, and go to bed basically and sleep. And that was our life for about 6 months. Like the cleaning contracts were 7 days a week, whereas the jobs were only 5. But so it was just this natural progression. And because I've always had the entrepreneurial ability, whether I believed in myself or not, I was still able to push myself enough to be able to take a day or two off the nice secure government job, because you could and get away with it, you know what I mean, and go door knocking on businesses. So I would take probably one day a fortnight off, and I would go door knocking around to businesses and secured enough income from the cleaning contracts to be able to quit the big job, because I was earning a lot more money than what I was earning in that job. And so I actually did. It's funny, again, the universe stepped in, and I was actually pushed out by a senior person who was causing me a lot of grief. And years later, I spoke to a manager of mine who said to me that, you know, it was either him or it was me that went, and they had wished it was him, but that's not how it worked. Yeah. So, I mean, like the whole natural progression, I don't think there was anything about confidence. It was like, okay, well, look, you know, yes, I'm going to give up this job, but it's toxic and it's awful, and I've got enough income coming from this. And so, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. That's a smart way of doing it, isn't it? Rather than be homeless and trying to start a business as well. No, that's really good. I think a lot behind the scenes of that is the way you manage to deal with the mindsets of growing up in a bad environment. No disrespect to your family, but just, yeah, not the ideal start for any individual. Tell us a bit about, because as business owners, it's always good to talk about mindset and how we can overcome certain thought patterns, or just the way our inner beliefs, the way we think about things, that because how we believe affects how we act, doesn't it? And how we act determines the results we get. So if we're not getting the results we want, we're not doing the right thing, and it's probably down to somewhere along the line we're self-sabotaging. We don't have our own beliefs quite where they should be. That's a very big question, but just share a little bit about how you've developed a better mindset coming out of such a toxic home and then in a work environment, to the point where now you're able to be a boss to so many staff.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a long journey. It's been a long road. There's been things that have happened along my journey that when I tell the story, people are just blown away by how I could actually just, you know, keep going. That's one of the things that my friends and my loved ones tell me, is that I've just got this incessant ability just to get back up again and just to keep going. I mean, one of the things that I'm now revealing about my life is that, you know, when I was 24, my father died suddenly. And in the space of 12 months, not only did I have to deal with the death of my father, my family actually threw me out completely, just cut all contact from me. My ex-husband decided that was a great time to leave, and every friend I had in the world basically seemed to disappear, because people don't hang around people who are in the depths of despair. If you know what, they don't stick. You know, very few people actually stick by you when you're going through, when you're walking through hell. Let's face it, they do. Do you know? So in the space of 12 months, I had just about everything that I believed to be real just flipped upside down and shown that it wasn't real. So, I mean, like that's sort of like really made it difficult for me to push through. The business I was talking about actually failed during that time as well, due to my ex-husband walking out with the vital things I needed to keep it running. And so I was really left on my own. And when you're in that situation, it's a do or die situation, really, isn't it? You've got a choice. You can either fall over and, like, you know, live the homeless life you were talking about, or you can get up and you can go again. Yeah. And I think that's, well, obviously that's what I chose to do, was the second one. And I think that's those moments in life, those you know, those crossroads that you reach in life, that you've got a decision to make, and you can choose one way or the other. Now, a lot of people say that getting up again then and moving to another country like I did was really brave of me. But in my mind, at that stage, I didn't have a choice, if that makes sense. There was no choice. It was like do or die, basically. So I did. And for years, I struggled with my confidence. I didn't know how to get the skills. I didn't know where to find them, because back then the information wasn't available. And it wasn't actually until I hit my 40s that I actually really started to find that self-worth and that self-belief.
So you'd already had several successful businesses, even though sort of the programming, the inner beliefs were not where you would like them to be, or certainly not where they are now.
Absolutely. I mean, it was still difficult. It was still extremely difficult. I would self-sabotage. I would do really, really dumb things because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that what I was creating was anything other than a fluke. And, God help me if anyone found that out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the fact that those businesses even survived, it's a miracle. You know what I mean? Because it's like, when you don't have that mindset and you don't have that, belief that you can go out and do anything, then how the hell did I make them work? I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of resilience in your story, I think. And one of the things I've learned is we only develop resilience in the tough times. It's not something we can really prepare ahead for. I think expectations, we can set ourselves up to be resilient by having the right expectations that, you start a business, there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be challenges. Not everyone's going to like what you do, not everyone's going to hang around necessarily, but you dig deep, don't you? And I think that's what comes through as I hear your story more. It's digging down into the roots of who you are and allowing yourself. You choose not to be a victim. I think that's the key thing. And I think it's so easy as business owners, for anyone listening as well, we've all got the same opportunities where we can make excuses to not be successful. We can make excuses of why things haven't happened. Or we can flip it around and say, okay, let's start again. Let's try something new. And I think that resilience, I think, is foundational in what you've built so far, and how you've navigated different businesses as well. But I think it's one of those ingredients that we all need to develop and be aware that, okay, tough times happen, but the opportunity within the tough time is build that resilience and just get stronger. And then you can develop and do something much better going forwards. So I think that's really encouraging just to hear your story. I mean, obviously I'm a spectator in the sense I haven't lived through the tough stuff that you have, but I can see, in my own life where I can not make excuses for certain things and just be a bit clearer with certain things, and value the resilience that I've developed already. So that's really good. So everyone listening as well, hopefully, wherever you are, if you're not yet in a successful business, or maybe you are, but you're feeling that your confidence level is not where it should be, you feel a little bit like an imposter, or you might get found out, but just keep going. It's a journey. Just keep working on yourself, growing who you are, working on your beliefs as well. And things will get better if you stick to it. Don't make excuses to quit. I think that's the bottom line. There's lots I want to dig into with regards to the copywriting business as well. But before we do that, just curious, really. I mean, 13 businesses. I don't speak to many people that have run and sold 13 successful businesses. Do you get bored with one and then start another one? Or is there any common factor that sort of got you to the point where you think, right, this chapter's over, I really want to move on, and either do, because they've been different type businesses as well, haven't they? So is it that you like the variety of doing something different? Is it just a whole range of circumstances, and at different times this was the right thing to do, now it's not, and you sort of discern and navigate, this seems the right thing to do now?
Yeah, it's been a mixture of things. I mean, it was interesting. Just a couple of years ago, I went to do a training course, and I'll make this short, but we had to get up on stage and we had to stand there and speak for 5 minutes, and then we had to basically put our hands down by our sides and take whatever feedback came from the audience, whether it was good or bad. And I mean, oh my God, does that give people a license to say whatever they freaking want to? I can tell you now. And it's like some of them, I was on stage and they're hitting me with this feedback, and I'm just going, really? wow, and I can't say anything about that, And this one girl, she actually said to me, she said that, it was 11 businesses at that stage. And she said to me, she goes, well, clearly you can't stick to anything. She said, because, by my working out, you've been in business for 21 years, and that means that each business has only lasted 2 years. So obviously you've got no staying power. And I was like floored, because it's like, oh my gosh, I'd never even thought of it that way. But the reason why I tell you this story is because people's perception of you can be completely different. I mean, at one stage I had 3 businesses going at once. I was working, we had a mechanics shop, and I was stuck on the reception counter, and I was bored out of my brain. So we had spare room out the back, and so I developed a computer repair business out the back, which just hired a technician and just threw them in there and threw some ads in the local Yellow Pages back then. So I'm talking a while ago. The Yellow Pages was out, and I was bored again. So I started importing, diamond and gemstone jewelry from overseas, and created a business out of that as well. So I actually had 3 going at once at one stage. And I mean, my longest business has been 14 years. And so, yeah, I mean, I've had all types of businesses. They've been short, long. They've been, like in baby gear to, jewelry, to computer repairs, to selling tools online. So I have got bored. I have self-sabotaged. I've done it all. I mean, that's the beauty of 13 businesses in 23 years, is I've done it all. I've self-sabotaged. I've failed. I've sold them. I've made huge profits. I've lost heaps of money. So it's just, it's just a mixture and just a journey. But it's interesting, people's perceptions of how they choose to view it. Now, in my opinion, she just wanted to find something to drag me down, which a lot of people do, as we talked about. But, geez, I can tell you that one knocked me for 6. It did.
It is interesting and enlightening just on that perspective, isn't it? That I suppose if you want to see the bad in people, you will look for something and find it. If you've got the good glasses on, shall we say, you're going to see it in a positive way. I think it's positive. I think there's different gifts, isn't there, that different people have. And I think one of the gifts that you definitely have is the pioneering side of things. Some people can set up one business, run it for 30 years, and they're happy because that's what they're good at. Other people, they're just geared, they're wired differently to be able to sort of start new ground, establish something, and then pass it on to somebody else. Because, I don't know, maybe you'll be in this business a lot longer than the others. But from hearing your story, I think you're a lot more, you set things up and then other people take over. And your gifting is in the setting it up and the establishing it, which I think takes a lot more resilience. Anyone, I don't know, I won't say anyone, people can come in to a ready-made business potentially and have a lot of an easier journey than starting something from scratch. That's just my opinion, but yeah, I think it's an interesting insight into human behavior, isn't it? It's like, why do we look to pick holes in other people? It's our own insecurities, I guess, isn't it? It's like, they're making me feel threatened or bad, so I need to pull them down so that I feel better. Absolutely.
That's exactly what it is. One of the businesses we had was an online tool store, and I can't remember the exact figures, but we had something like, I don't know, 200,000 positive feedbacks, right? And I think 200 negatives, right? Yeah. So that's not bad odds, really. And I can remember the amount of people that would say, oh, look at all your negatives. It's like they totally ignored the 200,000 positives, and they just looked at, and that's just human nature. It just seems to be that, you're right. If they feel threatened or they don't feel good enough or anything like that, and that comes down to the mindset, then their first reaction is to do what they can to tear that person down. And, it's really sad.
Yeah. What if we all took the initiative, everyone listening as well, and just were intentionally positive to everybody we met, maybe for a whole week? Set yourself a target that just, whatever happens, set yourself that target. Because you'll pick up when you're not positive, and then you'll realize there's things you need to work on. But also, life's about helping other people, isn't it? I think if we squash other people to make ourselves look better or more successful, I think it's a bad ethic to operate by, but also I think it comes back to us eventually as well. And just if you hurt people, it just doesn't work out well. I could go on to that topic, but let's not do that for now. Copywriting. So I'm certainly not an expert with regards to copywriting. But tell us a little bit about, so the background to this is you wrote the book when COVID hit early in 2020. You wrote the book in 24 hours.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Well done. That's impressive. And then you started to develop a course that helped people start a new income.
Yes, I did. So one of the things that I discovered last year was, because, there's a lot of people that have this opinion that, when you get a #1 international bestseller, that's it, you've made it, that's it, the world is your oyster. And, people are just going to throw money at you, and the opportunities are going to come in, and you're going to be on Oprah, and you're going to be on Ellen's, and that's what everyone thinks when you get #1 international bestseller. But the truth is, the people that end up getting all the money thrown at them and get the opportunities and get on Oprah and get on Ellen have got an incredibly huge marketing team and a huge marketing budget. So if you don't have those things behind you and you're not consistently going book, and sounding like a damn chicken, honestly, it just sort of you get the result and you can use the title, but, if you don't put the effort into it, if it's not there, it goes nowhere. It can go nowhere. And sure, I've sold enough copies and I can use that title, but it's certainly not set me up for life, I can tell you now. And that's one of the realities that, I share with clients, because it's all about that promotion and putting yourself out there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so, when I realized that I wasn't getting the gold medals and all the diamonds, and the Oprah wasn't calling me, she wasn't picking the phone up saying, "Hey, you're amazing, come on my show." I then actually created a video series to prove that what I said in my book actually worked. And I actually created a business in 14 days from scratch with no money down whatsoever, and it was a blog and article writing business. And this is how Copywriters International was born. I did the video series, and off the back of that, I started doing a 5-day free training for wannabe business owners. And whilst the training went great, I had 100 women in the room who, got great benefit from my knowledge. And out of that, I gained, I earned $20,000 in 5 days because I sold a course after that.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it. I ended up getting 10 women into a 12-week training course where I had to show up every week. And like most things with that, no matter how good you happen to be, after the first 3 weeks, the ones that are never going to do anything drop off. And then, by the time you get to the end of the 12 weeks, you might have 3 left. And I don't love that. I don't love that. I do not love working with people who just, whatever reason, they're not ready, or they're not prepared to commit to what it is. And so I realized that wasn't for me. But see, on the sides, the blog and article writing business has started taking off.
Yeah.
And so I ended up having to look at that and seeing that for its worth and its value. And before I knew it, I was hiring people left, right, and centre to help me. And the rest is history. It's here we are 8 months later, and I've got 30 staff.
Yeah. You're actually very good at writing as well. Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons why you're successful. But yeah, it's almost, I suppose it's partly having the insight of spotting the things that are going well whilst you're trying to maybe push or start something that actually, no, that's not where I need to go. I need to go somewhere else. What would be, for people listening and they do their own copy, they're successful or maybe not, and they're thinking, what do I need to do differently? What would be a couple of the things that, the do's and the don'ts, if you like, of what to include in copy, how to approach it? What are the things we should avoid?
Okay, well, I think one of the biggest do's and don'ts, and this is also, works for starting a business as well, which is also important, is, make sure you love it. Okay, because if you don't love writing your copy, or you don't love the business, don't start something for somebody else. Don't do it for something else. If you don't love it, if you're not passionate about it, if it's not what gets you out of bed in the morning. If you don't wake up every morning and go, oh my God, what am I going to write today? Or, then you're not in the right space to be successful in business. You've got to love what you do, because business is hard. All right. It's not easy. And if you don't love what you do, the first time somebody slaps you down, you're going to go and run away screaming,
Yeah.
But if you love what you do, even writing your own copy, the first time you get rejected, like if you wanted to write, articles for magazines or whatever, the first rejection letter you get is going to shut you down if you don't love what you do. And I think that's probably the biggest point. If you love writing your copy, then write it. If you don't love writing your copy, then outsource it to a company like mine who do. We love that. That's our passion. That's our magic pill, really, that we can create. So do the things that you love. I think that's the most important. So that number one rule in anything you do, whether it's copywriting, whether it's starting a business, whether it's, your favorite sport or whatever, if you love it, then do it. If you don't love it, then don't do it or outsource it.
Yeah. Well said. That's a good philosophy for anything, isn't it? It's like there are, as we've mentioned earlier, we're wired in certain ways. Nobody's an expert at everything. We've all got some sort of gifting, some sort of talent that we naturally gravitate towards. If you can make money from it, brilliant. That's the way to do it. But also don't stifle that by feeling that you have to do the accounts in the business, you have to do the marketing, you have to look for new clients and all the different elements to it. Yeah, when you're starting out, maybe you have to be aware of the different elements to it. But yeah, leveraging the skills of others, I think, is a key thing that all successful people do. It's just one of those things. There's 24 hours in everyone's day while they're on the planet, so it's like you can only do so much time, can't you? And it's also you also help businesses kind of take their time back, in the sense of they're not 24 hours working on their business. They're just doing it for X amount of hours a week, a month, whatever. Otherwise, what's the point of life if it's just your business? If you're passionate about it, obviously you're going to put more time in and it's not going to feel like work. But if that's all you're building and you haven't got family, you haven't got leisure or some other interests outside that, I think the whole balance of life it's just out of whack, isn't it? It's not built for longevity that way. You're going to burn out. You're going to be too shallow. You're not going to enjoy different elements of life and discover new things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So many times, I've not always had this philosophy of if you don't love it, don't do it. Okay, I've not always had that. I mean, let's not talk about ClickFunnels. I did not call it ClickFunnels to start with. In fact, the word I called it started with an F, and I don't need to say anything more than that. You can guess what I called it. Oh my gosh, I can remember my first funnel. It must have taken me 3 days to build. If I had outsourced that and spent my time on something that I loved, how much more would I have achieved? What could I have done instead of spending that 3 days cursing and swearing on something that, I wasn't good at, and that's just one example. I mean, and everyone does that. Let's face it. I mean, the first time I tried to do a graphic, my goodness gracious, it's just and again, it just took me way too long. And so that's one of the things you do have to do. You have to realize that if you don't love it or you're not good at it, and not all of us are good at everything, this is the thing, then stop wasting your time. Focus on what you are good at. Focus on what I call the high-paying activities that are going to start bringing the money into the business, and outsource the rest of it.
Yeah. And part of that comes back to the confidence thing again, isn't it? It's having the confidence to just focus on that. Is everything else going to fit? If I just focus on that, it's like, if you're really in your zone, then other stuff will just fall into place after that, I think. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and along with that confidence a little bit too. I mean, a lot of people are they feel less of a person because they don't feel confident or they don't believe in themselves. But the thing is, it's just a skill set, Trevor. It's no different to if you wanted to go and learn to cook, you'd go to a cooking class. If you want to learn to take great photos, you'd go to a photography class. Well, getting your mindset sorted and getting those skills, it's just more skills. That's all it is. It's just what you don't know. It's just what you don't know yet. So people need to stop being afraid of what will other people think and just go and get the skills they need to be successful in life. Simple as that. Just go get it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we're sort of coming to the end of our time together today. It's been really good. So thank you for all that you've shared so far. But what would approaching you and getting your services involve? For anybody that might be listening, this is not an ad, but if you are thinking of, I really need help with copywriting, what would that look like for somebody that's never used a copywriting service? Do you sort of have a conversation with them about what do you want to achieve? What's the business? And then you sort of go and write something, or do you take things that they've already been using before and sort of critique, if you like, and brush it up and make it better? I don't know. I'm just thinking, how would I do something? I don't know, but you're the expert. So how would that work for a business?
Well, it really depends on what the individual client wants. I mean, some people like to do their own writing because they feel it's inauthentic if they don't do that, and then we can just help them with the editing. Other people who have got no clue how to do it just sort of like come to us and say, okay, so this is what I know, and we turn it into some magic for them. So it really just depends on what it is you need, but definitely there's always a conversation. We've got to get to know your business. We've got to get to know who you are, what you're passionate about. We've got to know what you're passionate about so that we can write for you. We can then slip into your shoes and actually write for you. And that's the key thing here, So, wherever you are, whether you're good at writing and you just want us to check it out, or you suck at it, then, we can help you.
Okay, that's good. And I guess the initial challenge for any of that is, do I know how and what I want to communicate, isn't it? That's the fundamentals, really. And maybe everyone listening have already nailed that. Every now and again, I think it's good to review that and just, am I still doing that? Is that still what I'm passionate about? What have I learned since I've started doing that maybe take me in a slightly different direction? I don't know.
That's right. I mean, my business is always morphing because I'm constantly learning and growing, and Yeah.
No, it sounds good though. And you've got staff in different countries as well. So meetings for time zones and all that is a lot easier to accommodate because you've got different people in different places as well. So that's good.
I'm becoming a time zone queen, I tell you. It's like just
Absolutely. Yes. It's a challenge, isn't it? Just thinking through, okay, so that's mine. Are they asleep now? Are they awake? No. Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Thank you for all that you've shared today. What would be there'll be a link anyway below to your website, but what would be the first place people could touch base if they wanted to find out at least the different options that you provide?
Sure. So I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like my second home these days. Like there's not many Maini Homers around, so I'm sure you won't have any trouble finding me first go. Just look for the love heart in the middle of the name. That's the big secret. So find me on LinkedIn, connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I spend a lot of my time. Other than that, you could also find us at copywritersinternational.com.
Okay, perfect. Brilliant. Thank you for everything that you've shared. You've got so much to offer business leaders and business owners from your life experience, as well as your experience of developing and selling on successful businesses, but also just the journey that you've taken, the lessons you've learned to get to that point. I think there's another book, definitely at least one coming out.
You keep saying that, Trevor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe one on mindset as well. One of the reasons why I think mindset is so key, because it's an ongoing thing, isn't it? It's not like, 20 years ago, I sorted my mind out. I've been fine ever since. It's a daily thing. It's a moment by moment. It's like, what am I really focusing on? How is that helping where I want to go? How is that helping other people? Or is it not helping other people? And you've learned so much from your journey so far. And you've got the results to prove that you can turn a bad situation around, you can learn from it, and you can make things better. And that's valuable. That's key for a lot of people. We can learn from the lessons that you've learned without having to make some of the mistakes that you've made along the way.
That's why I share my story. That's why I tell it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for being vulnerable as well. Life can be tough, and not everyone likes to talk about the tough stuff. They just want to talk about the success. But as you say, authenticity, we're human, aren't we? We're all human. We've all got the same potential pitfalls around us. It's good to hear from people that have gone through tough stuff, come out the other side, and are now thriving in another business as well. So yeah, wherever the people listening are on that scale of starting a business, going through the tough stuff, failed, not sure what's going to happen next, what do I do next? I feel lost. There's hope, I think, in your journey, in your story. And there's skills and things that they can develop. It's just whether they discover them as well, isn't it? But that's
right.
A whole nother discussion. I like talking to you. You're very easy to chat to, and you've got a lot of insight, which we can all learn from. So thank you for your time today on the podcast. Really appreciate that. Hopefully you will come back and share more of your wisdom, more of your experience at some point.
I will come back whenever you'd like me to, Trevor. It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. Thank you. And for everybody listening, just, don't let this episode just become another podcast that you listen to and then skip to the next one. Think about the things that maybe Maini shared that's resonated with you on your journey. What are the things that you could address? What are the things you could maybe just shift your perspective when it comes to other people? Shift your perspective when it comes to how you want to promote yourself, your businesses, and what you want to do in the future, and how you're going to tackle the things that try and trip you up from a mindset perspective as well. Lots to think about, lots of homework you could do if you're going to grow and invest in yourself. We believe in you. We believe you're valuable and you're worth doing that. Hopefully you do too. It's down to you to take the time to invest in yourself as well. So let's wrap it up there. We will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukai.businessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.